Welcome back to the Green Beans Go channel. It's your host, me, and as you can see, we are not at home. We are actually in South Carolina, out of the studio, out of the normal comfort of our home, where we typically have some better production quality. So if this is your first time tuning in to my Dinger Tuesday video, I apologize. It's going to be a little bit subpar today. And I appreciate your patience as we do this and as we go through what looks to be a fantastic Tuesday and a better Tuesday than we've seen compared to most of the previous week. So I'm a little disappointed. I cannot bet. South Carolina is not a legal betting state, but I wanted to at least bring you guys the typical information and data that I provide because you guys are probably at home and in a state where you can bet. So if we look at last week, we hit 4 picks, 2 from the San Diego and Oakland game that were massive, a plus 750 and a 10 to 1, a plus 1,000. So those were awesome picks to have last week. Looking at our year to date, we're still up 8% in terms of ROI, which isn't fantastic, but I'm thankful that in some ways I am limited because I'm hitting a lot more being selective than I would be if I was playing the entire sheet. So thank you, FanDuel, for limiting me, which is not something I would typically say. Let's go ahead and jump into today. And as you can see, it's going to be all in front of your face. I got a hair in my mouth, but I'm too far in the video to stop it. Okay? And I'm not restarting. So here we go. This is what we got for today. Lance Lynn and Munoz in Miami, and this is one of the worst games of the day. But Munoz, 25 innings pitched and 8 home runs surrendered. So we're going to target 2 Cardinals, even though I typically like to go after Lance Lynn. So mixing it up a little bit. Burleson and Donovan would be my picks there. Not a game I play. Game in Cleveland. Can we just stop for a second and acknowledge Josh Naylor for the 12th time this year? What are we doing? Last week I said, I like Naylor, but I'm not going to pick him because I'm not feeling him at that number. And what did he do? He hit a home run. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I made some shirts, as you can see down here. You can get them, link in the description. Tuesdays are for Josh Naylor. There's a couple other varieties, different colors. So if you want a Dinger Tuesday Josh Naylor shirt, I cook some up. So I'm going to put him at 18 probably for the rest of the year, just because I owe it to him. 390, Luke Raley at 450. Game in Philadelphia is going to be tougher because of the pitching. 2 good pitchers on the mound. David Dahl is my pick for the A team at 750. Started off pretty hot, but has cooled off. Jake Cronenworth, which I typically wouldn't attack Aaron Nola, but he was not as sharp last time out, so we'll go with him and target him by picking Jake Cronenworth. Game in Pittsburgh is probably one of the worst in terms of home run expectations, and Ballpark Pal has it under 2 home runs projected, which is funny because today only 3 games are under 2 home runs projected, and if we go to last week, there were not less than half were projected over 2. So, like I said, today's production should be a lot higher, which is good for you guys. Not great for me, sitting here, not being able to bet. Stevenson and Steer would be my picks. Not a game I would play, even if I was at home. Game in Washington, we have Slade and Jake Irvin. Jake Irvin has been actually exceptional at not allowing the home run. 81 innings pitched, 7 home runs surrendered. So I would be targeting 2 Washington guys, Eddie Rosario and Keibert Ruiz. CJ Abrams, I think, is a good pick as well, but he is below 400. Last year, you could get him 600 and 700, but he's added a lot more power to his bat, so he is priced accordingly. Game in New York, Suarez, only 1 home run surrendered all year, which is phenomenal for him, not for hitters. So I'm targeting Cortez in this one and going with 2 Baltimore bats, Westberg and Adley Rutschman at the prices you see there. Game in Atlanta should be okay, but Ballpark Pal has it under 2 home runs projected. Riley Green and Jared Kelenic would be my picks in that one. Not a game I would play, even on the limited version. Now, this game is interesting in Minnesota because the wind is blowing out at something like 17 miles an hour. The conditions look okay. The pitchers look hittable. Ballpark Pal has 3.39 projected, but we see a chance of rain and a high % chance of rain. So while I don't hate these picks, personally, if I was at home, I would stay away from this because of the rain possibility. I just don't like to get mixed up in weather delays and potential voids or potential they play a certain amount of innings and then the house rules get you. Just not a game I'm going to touch because of the weather. Now, if you want to monitor this and play it as it gets closer, maybe the radar clears up, that's totally fine. These two guys would be my picks. Okay, looking at the second half of the slate, this is where the money is. If I was at home, if you can tell by the font difference, these would be the players that I would be interested in targeting. We'll start at the top here. Not a game I'm targeting. Nimmo and Lindor would be my picks. Looking at the first game of the day, and I want to say a couple things about this. The wind is blowing out in Chicago, which is always an advantage in Chicago. Ballpark Pal projects 3 home runs, 41% increase from normal. And you look at Logan Webb and you may say, why are you targeting Webb? 92 innings pitched and only 4 home runs given up. Are you a fool? You've picked 2 Cubs guys. The reason is Logan Webb pitches at one of the hardest parks to hit at in San Francisco. Home runs don't get hit at the volume they do in San Francisco as other parks. So while he is a great pitcher and while he may not allow a home run tonight, and I could be completely wrong, I think you're getting value on a guy who appears to be a little bit better than he actually is, given that he pitches in a pitcher-friendly park typically. Ian Happ at 680 is insane. That's nuts. Okay. Yes, I would normally go Talkman. He tweaked his groin last night, so he's probably not going to be in the lineup. Ian Happ at 680 makes me wish I never came on this vacation. Okay, not really, but it's a great price. Michael Busch at 600 would be another pick as well. Those would definitely be guys I look at if I was at home. Game in Chicago also, but for the White Sox, Paul DeJong at 520 would be a guy I definitely would be interested in playing. John Singleton, maybe at 480. Game in Colorado, another game I've rated A. You don't see a lot of A ratings typically for me, but I think both of these games could see 4 to 5 home runs, and that's why I've given it an A. Chris Taylor at 520 and Charlie Blackmon at 600, a guy who hit one 2 nights ago at home. I like his matchup against Walker Buehler here. A lot of guys can hit home runs for LA in this one, but their prices are pretty steep. I mean, Ohtani's below 300. So just, these would be my picks. But I think you could see a lot of volume in this one. That's why I think it's good for the free bet return. Game in LA is very interesting to me. LA is a hitter-friendly park. The wind's blowing out. The pitching matchup is soft. And Bryce Turang and Sal Frelick at 870 and 900 are definitely worth a look, if nothing more than for a few free bets. I think those guys are not priced accurately, and you're getting some value there. Game in Toronto is not as late in the day as I have it on here. I just mixed up the sheet and I didn't want to switch all the pictures around. So just pay attention to that if you want to bet that game. It's like a 7 o'clock pitch, not a 10 p.m. Yoshida and Duran would be my picks, 900 and 600, but again, not a game I would play. And then finally the game in Oakland, not a hitter's park, decent pitching, Freddie Furman and Salvador Perez, kind of chalky, but even he's at 400, so that tells you something. So bottom line is this. I cannot participate today. If I was participating today, I would probably go with Happ, Turang or Frelick, and a free bet on the other, or ESPN. If they had a promo, I'd bet them on the other. And then Chris Taylor. All right. So I think those 3 games are going to get the highest value returned. If you have any questions or if there's lineup changes, I will update it as I can. Again, I'm not home. I'm on vacation with the in-laws, with my family, so I will not be as on it as I typically am. But I still want to provide this for you guys. So if you don't mind leaving a like and a comment, help boost this, help me continue to grow my channel. Order a shirt if you want, or don't. I mean, do whatever you want. All right. So thank you guys for coming by, and we will talk at you next week back home in a more traditional Green Beans Go setup.